You are listening to the Marc Guzman Podcast Experience.
Okay, topic number 3. Compass buys Alain Pinel. So this is making big news because Compass is a tech company and real estate company that's been growing, exploding very fast. They're buying a lot of companies. They're somewhat famous for also doing signing bonuses of upwards to $1 million for real estate agent teams to come on board. And these are signing bonuses. They're not special commission deals or anything. So they've really been growing really fast. Now, recently, they also announced that for 2019, they're going to stop getting into new market territories, new markets. They've grown up pretty fast. They want to now focus on the current markets that they're already in. And so here in the Bay Area, they decide to buy Alain Pinel, which is another very big brokerage.
And just to kind of put things in quick layman perspective, big company out of New York, backed with a lot of money, is buying up privately held offices or franchises throughout the United States. And again, focusing in California in this particular instance, their last acquisition was Alain Pinel, which has several thousand agents. And so they're essentially rebranding.
They also bought Pacific Union was another one. And I want to say they bought another one, some other big company too. But Pacific Union, Alain Pinel, definitely the big two companies. Now, the interesting thing is there was a study that came out that the very first year an agent is with Compass, their business drops by 17%. So I'm curious to see what happens to Compass coming down the road, because if the average agent that joins Compass loses 17% of their business, the one thing that's very typical with many real estate agents is once their business suffers a little bit, they're already thinking, well, what other broker can I go to that can help improve my business?
Yeah, to kind of segue off of what Mark is saying there. So, it's not a new thing for companies or large companies to buy out smaller companies. You see tech companies do it all the time. Google buying up a company because they hold some specific proprietary technology that'll make Google more money. And so when you apply that to the real estate industry, one big office buying out a whole bunch of other offices. And again, this isn't the first time this has happened before. You do it under the premise that the agents are doing really, really well. Well, agents are humans, and for lack of a better word, most agents can be very, very flaky, and they're very, very temperamental. So one moment they love their office that they're at, but there's always the grass is greener on the other side. So it's real easy to get in the business and get out of the business, or to just jump from one office to the other. So what that has to do with one big company buying the assets of a smaller company to grow its holdings, and those assets being real estate agents who are subject to human emotion and change, and as Mark said, going from one place to another. Personally, I've always wondered, why that's a smart move. Because if I had a bunch of money, I wouldn't go out and buy real estate companies with agents, knowing full and well that one moment an agent might love their office that they're in, and then the next moment, like we've talked about before, they're like, hey, they've got that new software, and did you see what that office is doing for them? And their donuts are better, and I'm going to go over there, right?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because if you look at the culture of Compass, it's very different than the culture of Alain Pinel. I think the culture of Pacific Union with Compass kind of matches up,
right? But
Alain Pinel is very different culture, and so it's going to be interesting to see what their agents do. If they end up dropping off or they end up splitting up, because I believe Alain Pinel originally started by a split off of a big Coldwell Banker office in San Francisco.
Yes, exactly. And in fact, the story behind Alain Pinel was the original broker named, Alain. He actually was getting out of the business, but his name was purchased, and it was taken over completely by somebody else. It'd be like if, Marc Guzman Real Estate, and then you decide to get out of the business and go into a totally different industry, but I buy your name and I just keep promoting that name, and because it was an offshoot of another company. Again, going back to like some of the allure of these new companies, a lot of them will offer great new technology. But the fact of the matter is that when you apply different technology, real estate agents, especially because we're self-employed contractors, we technically make our own hours. we love to know about all this latest software, but how much we actually use it is the big question. A lot of times I've had or introduced new software to the agents, and I can track and see just how much they're using them, and most of the time they're really not. Agents have their own little idiosyncrasies and will gravitate to whatever it is that they feel most comfortable with.
Okay. Bell was slightly a little different this time, but
Having issues.
okay. So next topic.
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Thank you to our producer, Sam Lemon. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share the podcast. Remember, you can listen to the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Google Play, SoundCloud, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. For more information on my business as a property manager and real estate team, go visit my website at markguzman.com. I really want to thank all of you for listening. It means the world to me, and I hope today's episode provides you value in your day-to-day life. I created this podcast to help showcase the many great people that live in this world and help share some knowledge that I've learned along the way in life. Again, thank you for listening. Check out our sponsors, and I'll catch you on the next episode.